Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. If you have been watching any of my other previous videos, you did see that I built a solar panel tester, and all it really is just a 100 amp lithium iron phosphate, 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery, 12 volts, and it's connected to a solar charge controller. They are both Bluetooth connected, and so I'm going to be using that today to test out about 5 solar panels. 2 of them are these EcoWorthy panels. They're all either 195 or 200 watts. And 3 of them are these flexible panels. Because I really want to see basically if they're all good and if what kind of power I would get if I connected some of them in series to be able to get as much wattage out of them as possible. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to go ahead and do is this EcoWorthy right here. I'm going to hook it up. As you can see, it's a nice, beautiful day out right now. And it's also right at 11 a.m. So we should be in pretty much prime solar conditions. So let's go ahead and start hooking stuff up and see what kind of power we get from these panels. We can see that the MPPT is, the voltage is 20.6 volts. We're currently getting only 15 watts into the battery. Oh, look at that. Now it's jumping up. The MPPT is finally starting to cook. The voltage has dropped to about 15.9, up 16.1. And so we're getting about 160 watts of power out of this 195 watt panel. And it is bifacial. I might be able to tilt it a little bit more to get a little bit better angle. Let's see, now we are getting, there we go, 168 watts. So just by tilting it a little bit, we got, an additional 8 watts, which is good. Let's go ahead and switch over to our battery. And you can see that the battery shows the voltage is 13.5. The current is 12.5. And so that gives us a wattage of right around 168 to 170 watts. So I'm going to go ahead and grab the other rigid EcoWorthy panel and see if we get the same results. And then I'm going to put them in series and see if we get anything better or worse. All right, I just want to back my camera up a little bit, but you can see that the second EcoWorthy panel is now deployed. Let's see what we're getting. And it does show that the battery is showing 178 watts going into the battery. Let's see what the MPPT says. It says that we're getting 16.4 volts going into the MPPT, and the current is 12.39, and the voltage is 13.6 for a power of 168 watts. So practically the exact same on each panel, and that is exactly what I want to see. So when we put them in series, what should happen is the voltage from the PV input should double, but the amperage would stay the same, so that way the power should double as well. So we should be getting about 350 watts. Let's go ahead and do that. And how you connect them in series is you just take the positive to this one and you connect it to the negative of that one, and then you take the positive and negative of these 2 panels and connect them to your MPPT controller. All right, and that's probably about the best angling I can get on this trampoline. You can see now that the input voltage is now 34.1. The battery bank, it's getting 23.48 amps at 13.9 volts. So we're getting 326 watts going into this battery. If we look at the battery, you can see 13.7 volts, 23.7 amps, and 323 watts going in. All right, next I'm going to go ahead and try out some of these flexible panels. First of all, this is the BougeRV. It's a 200 watt panel. It's the Arc Pro 200. All right, we got 35.7 volts going into the MPPT. That will lower down once the amperage starts to flood in. It looks like the solar charge controller has kind of calmed down, so now we're getting 29.1 volts into the MPPT. And that gives us 11.88 amps at 13.7 volts. So that equals out to 162 watts going into the battery. So pretty close to the other panels. Not too bad. Let's see what the battery shows. 13.6 volts at 11.9 amps, so we're getting right around 162 watts. All right, next we're going to try out this YESLAKE panel. All right, well, it looks like it's calmed down, and we are getting 12.08 amps at 13.7 volts going into the battery, so that equals 165 watts. The voltage coming from this panel to the MPPT is 15.3 volts. So again, we're getting right around that 163 to 170 watt per panel average. All right, and let's go ahead and try our last panel. And this panel is from MGPOWOS. It's also a 200 watt flexible panel. All right, and this panel is actually showing considerably less, which is unfortunate. Voltage coming in is 29 volts. The current is 11.11 amps going into the battery at 13.7 volts, so that is only 152 watts. So unfortunately, this panel is underperforming compared to everything else that I've used on the system that I'm testing it on. Now, I know there's like individual testers out there, and I might pick one of those up just to see if there's a difference. All right, well, I'm happy to see that my solar panel tester works exactly the way that I want. I was able to test all these panels with absolutely no issues whatsoever. I did find out that this panel is a little underproducing compared to all the other panels. The rigid panels are actually giving us the most wattage. So if you have any questions about how I did any of this, please go ahead and leave them in the comments. I'll have a link to any of these items that are currently available in my description below. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day. Bye-bye.